Holy crap, we're here. Man. I still love that intro. That's a lot of drums. You know what they need there is a whistle. We need like a whistle right in the middle of it.
I was going to say a cowbell, but close enough.
Yeah, very good. Hey, welcome to the show. This is Heading Back to the Window with Scott and Scott. This is the Thursday edition, and I am your host, Scott Steehn, lead handicapper at winnersandwhiners.com.
And I'm your co-host, Scott Reichel, senior handicapper over on winnersandwhiners.com.
And together we do this each and every day, kids. Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. Scott and I will try to guide you through that perilous journey and let us all head back to the window to catch those winning tickets. Brandon Kubas is 88 degrees in L.A. Got the AC cranked up and ready to make some money. Excited for today's show. All right. I said nice pick on the U.S. hockey, Scott. Well done there as you laid 2.5, and they win by a small margin of 8. So, yeah, nicely done. Nicely done. Good deep dive and heavy lifting for us lazy-ass handicappers. That's what we're here for. Yeah, look at they're piling on the accolades for you, buddy. Well done.
It would have been un-American not to take the play.
Why do you hate America, man?
I love America. They made me money.
No, that's why I asked you that. I asked you if you watched Nathan Chen skate last night, and you said you did not. So
I did not. I said I saw the highlights for it.
Yeah, it was good. It was good shit, man. I didn't know how you do that. I have no idea. Just none at all. So it's good to be here, guys. Of course, don't forget to like and subscribe, do all that stuff. Look at that. Even after I changed out the banner, I didn't put it up. Welcome to the show. Happy trade deadline day. It's a big day for you up there as a follower of the Brooklyn Nets, Scott. You want to unpack a little bit of that just real quick here before we go with the beard no longer getting weird in Brooklyn?
Yeah, our team might actually play defense now. So looking at the actual trade, the Nets got Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first-round picks. And the Sixers got James Harden. Now, I know a lot of people don't like Simmons.
No, I mean, they got who else? They got somebody else too.
Paul Millsap?
Yeah, they got Millsap. That's right.
I mean, he's basically been waived. He's never going to play.
I know.
But still. Point is that the Nets definitely gambled by picking up Ben Simmons because nobody knows if he's going to be A, ready to play immediately, or B, if he's even close to resembling a jump shot. The answer is obviously no. But I think the Nets won the trade because I just think they picked up a lot of potential assets. They improved the three-point shooting with Curry, who's going to help with the role player spot. Drummond's going to help him with rebounding. 2 first-round picks are nice for trade bait later on. And Harden didn't want to be there. He was going to also leave during the offseason. So for a guy who is probably not going to re-sign, who did not have an extra contract year in place, I thought they got a pretty good deal out of it.
Okay, very good. Oh, yeah, again, I rely on most of the Nets knowledge from you because that's your team. So, if you think they won the trade, and on the surface, looking at it as somebody that's not a huge Nets fan, that seems like a pretty good haul for a player that, I don't know, can you say Harden didn't make that big of a difference? At least he was inconsistent. Some nights he would carry but some nights I'd say he would even be a liability on the court, no?
It was. That's the issue you run into with Harden his entire career, especially this year, because offensively he's been extremely inefficient.
Right.
But if you're going to score 32 on one end, but you're responsible for negative 40 on the defensive end, then at what point do you realize he might just be a net negative?
Yeah, I agree.
Especially on this team.
It's hard to argue with that. It's hard to argue with that indeed. And obviously the chemistry wasn't working because the Nets were kind of floundering there. And again, not playing defense. So
they had to do something. And Harden was probably going to leave during the offseason. So they picked up a couple of guys who will help flush out the roster. And we'll see what happens. But I can tell you right now, Harden, if he would have stayed with the team this season, there was a 0% chance of the Nets winning the title. Now it might be up to, 5%.
I was going to say 2%, but
I was going to say that's higher than 0, so I'll take it.
Absolutely. T-Train in the house. Michael Kingdon Jones here. I see a lot of our regulars checking in, and most everybody congratulating you on your fine hockey pick. So yeah, well done.
USA.
Well done. Would you fade the USA if the situation warranted it?
Only if they're playing Canada.
Okay. Oh, Canada.
In hockey, Listen, I might be American and patriotic, but I'm not going against Canada in hockey. You got to be nuts to do that.
I agree. Hey, don't forget, guys, we're partnered with Caesar Sportsbook over there, and they're sweeping America. They got the coolest commercials with JB Smoove and Holly Berry on there. But most importantly, they have a great sports betting service. They have a great app. They have a great website. So
Got a hell of a Roman Empire.
Got a hell of a Roman Empire. They did well. They did well for a while. Scott, I know you've taken advantage of it, and it's a fantastic deal. It's $1,500. Your first bet is basically risk-free. So make sure you deposit. You got to put in at least $50. So, you got to do that. But, who's not putting in $50, right? And make sure you take care of business. It is available in all the Caesars states. Of course, you must be 21 to play. And if you have a gambling problem, please, I think the national number is 1-800-GAMBLER. And I know probably each individual state has one as well. I know in Missouri it's 1-800-BETS-OFF. So if you need help in that direction, please seek help. All right. So that being said, Scott, let's take a look and see what happened yesterday, man. There was some games being played. Some of them went well. Some of them went poorly. And more importantly for our purposes, we were on both sides. So let's find out who took it in the shorts and who took it to the bank in the Thursday edition of Call Them Cops. All right, Scott, it feels like we could have put a few in here, but we're going to start off with a college basketball game between Valpo and Illinois State. If you had the under 143, you capped it correctly. Barely, but you had it. Except, I believe we've seen this movie before, 70-70 after regulation. You have no hope of an overtime miraculous win. They did score just 13, which is a pretty low number there for 5 minutes. But it didn't matter. It went over that 143. Sorry, guys. Overtime, not your friend. Call the cops.
And looking at the second one, kind of a similar script, except on the opposite side. If you had Tennessee and Mississippi State over 136, well, you're on your way. All you need is about 5 points for a push in the final 2 minutes and 26 seconds. 6 for the win. They only got 4. Game landed 135.
Ridiculous. Just utterly ridiculous. There is nothing more frustrating than having an over and watch them go absolutely dry in the last 2 or 3 minutes of a game. It just, because it's like it's literally like a slow motion train wreck or car crash or whatever. You see
Go to the rim, you coward.
You see it coming. You're screaming to it to stop, and you can't do a damn thing because you know where it's headed. And that was the case last night. So finally, we'll finish up with North Florida catching 2.5 at Bellarmine. My Bellarmine. They trailed by a point with 1 second left. They're at the line. All you got to do, shoot that free throw, tie the game. Nope.
It would go to overtime, which is a sweat, but you're in good shape.
Yeah, you still have to, but you're in great shape. So, because what you don't want, you don't want them to miss it, because what's going to happen? Well, Bellarmine's going to get the rebound, and North Florida's going to foul. What happened? Missed the free throw. Bellarmine got the rebound. North Florida fouled. Think you could have them miss one on the other end? No fucking way. Bellarmine hit both free throws. North Florida loses by 3. If you had plus 2.5, sorry for your bet and sorry for the television that you probably threw a glass through. But you got to call the cops.
Yeah, it's the thing that I've noticed for the last couple of days. The favorites have done so well in the NFL. I mean, not the NFL, the NBA. We've kind of had to rely so heavily on college for the call the cops because the NBA has been surprisingly straightforward for the last couple of days.
Yep. Well, that shit's about to change with all the trade pieces and everything, and now it's. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. There's a little bit of a lag as the books have to figure out what's going on with these teams, and if you can figure it out yourself, if you're a fan of these teams or you watch them closely, and if you got a good handle on what kind of impact both the additions and the subtractions are going to make, it can be a very profitable opportunity, as there will be some inefficiencies in the sides especially, but also in the totals as well. So, okay. Well, so there was some good news last night. There were some people that were on the right side of the ledger. You know who you were because you're probably a little hungover today. You maybe had a little extra glass of whiskey, a little something to celebrate as you fired up your Joe Burrow cigar. Man, if he doesn't have his own cigar line, he's missing a fucking golden opportunity, by the way. But let's talk about who they were, Scott, because they were sitting in the rocking chair.
So, first one, if you had Houston and SMU over 134.5, you had 91 points in the first half, and the game landed 168.
I'll tell you, somebody asked us about Houston in the first half, and that person was extremely prescient because Houston looked exactly like Houston in the first half. And then they looked like, I don't know, Lamar in the second half. Just absolutely puked on their shoes.
Well, we talked in the show yesterday that Houston is very, very good at home, and we felt a lot better about laying that number at home than on the road.
Yeah.
I think we still like Houston anyway because they're so good, but we definitely were more hesitant on it. If they were at home, you assume they win every game by 20.
Yep. Got out to a quick league and then couldn't hold it. So if you had the Bulls -2 playing against the Hornets. Hornets, we talked about them. We talked about them being a streaky team. They're in the middle of a losing streak. We didn't want to touch them. And the Bulls proved us right as they led by 13 at halftime. They ended up winning by 12. Congratulations if you had the Bulls -2 because you were in the rocking chair.
And the last one, if you had the Flames on the money line against the Golden Knights, you led 3-0 after the first period, and you won 6-0.
What was the number on that, you know?
About -140.
Yeah, solid play. Congratulations. All right. So let's talk about this just a little bit. I was going to put up the best sell for this because my son was on this play and he was on the wrong side of it. So I wanted to.
He got half of it right.
He did get half of it right, Scott. There was sometimes the odds makers, maybe happy hour starts a little early. Maybe they kind of forgot about this until the last minute for whatever reason. It would appear to us that the odds makers, come on, guys, we think you're drunk. So the Islanders, also your team, were playing the Canucks. Scott, the total was 5, but the odds makers said 5. That seems like a good number. My son said, "Oh yeah, I like the Islanders in the under there in a correlated parlay." First period, Scott, how'd that end up? How many goals they scored?
The Islanders scored 5 goals in the first period,
and
you had 6 goals total.
Yeah.
After 20 minutes.
Yeah, you can just turn that fucker off because the Islanders are winning and your under ain't coming in. The game landed 9. Come on, odds makers and Truman. Scott, would you rather lose one like if you're going to lose? Would you rather lose one like that or lose at the last minute?
I'd rather lose it that way.
Okay.
If I'm going to lose no matter what, it gives me a couple hours to kill afterward.
Yeah.
Go watch some Netflix or something.
I'm the same way. I'm the same. You go watch Nathan Chen's skate. Absolutely true. So, what else do we have in here? I thought we had. Did I cut something out? Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah. I got it. We got to do this one. I'll let you rant here about this one because. Oh God, I don't know. Is it America's team? What the hell's going on, guys? Once again, I didn't have them, so I'm not mad. But you look at this performance, I am definitely disappointed. Go ahead, buddy.
Not gonna spend much time on this team because they don't deserve my entire attention.
That's right.
It's the Lakers. You got run it against Milwaukee. Fair. Milwaukee's a very good team. Then you have a game against Portland. We know McCollum just got traded. Lillard's still out. They traded Norman Powell. They traded Robert Covington. They don't have anybody. They got Simons.
Hello, Nurkic.
Nurkic and a bunch of Uber Eats drivers.
And Zamboni drivers.
The Lakers, no Westbrook, whatever. People were blaming him for every loss anyway. They lost outright to Portland, despite being 9-point favorites. That's a mess. And today was the cherry on top because they didn't even make a trade today. They really couldn't because nobody wanted anything that the Lakers had to offer.
Right.
Because this team stinks. And all the contracts they have are also pretty atrocious. It might be time to bet the Lakers to miss the playoffs.
Yeah, I think we're getting there.
on a podcast I was on a couple of months ago. I think it was plus 350 when I talked about that option. The only saving grace was going to be the trade deadline. If they could somehow find the Sacramento Kings or some really poorly run franchise that would take a terrible contract off their hands, they got nothing. This team stinks. You think they're going to turn it around? Of course not.
Nope.
They're not making the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that's very possible. Bronco Devil forgot about USA Hockey. Do you like Evansville tonight? Well, that doesn't seem likely because I hate that team. Let me see who they playing tonight. Skeeter, let me get that one up. The Purple Elves is playing Indiana State. Ooh, there you go. How about them Sycamores?
Evansville actually won a game last time.
I know.
They're rolling.
I know, man.
I'm going with Evansville.
You like Evansville here catching the points?
I have a hard time laying 4 with a team that's 1-8 straight up on the road.
Yeah, but
that I can't do.
Yeah, I know. They're 4-5 against the number though, so they're not awful, but they've been competitive. Lost 4 straight. Evansville's covered 3 or 4. Oof. Well, I don't know, man. I mean, if you got to do it, if you got to get in there and make that Evansville bet, I'll lean Purple Aces with you.
I mean, this reminds me of the Robert Morris game we talked about yesterday. I said I like Detroit on principle, but if you're betting on a Robert Morris game, go to a meeting. Because if you like Robert Morris and you want to put your hard-earned money on one of the worst teams in college football, college basketball, really any sport, go nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Evansville's kind of the same boat where I don't want to lay with Indiana State, but on the other side that involves you putting money on Evansville, bunch of courage right there for you to do that. But
that big
for me to stay away, but
yeah.
There's no way I'm taking Indiana State on the road.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's legit. Bronco Devil saying it's Ooey Pooey Day. They're playing Ooey Fort Wayne, so
they're playing against
Ooey Poof. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooey Pooey is terrible. According to Ken Palm, they're the worst team in the nation, by the way.
Are they worse than Mississippi Valley?
Yes, 358.
Okay.
I think Mississippi Valley State is like 356 or something. I know Maine's in there. So, but dude, 19.5. Fort Wayne is laying 19.5. I can't do it. I cannot do it, man.
I feel like this play is just the under. It feels like the safer option.
Take your 120.
Because you know that IUPUI can't score no matter what.
Yep.
So I don't want to lay 19. Purdue Fort Wayne is solid at home, 10-2, straight up 7-3 ATS. I mean, the total is 121.5.
Yep.
But if IPFW is going to cover, they're basically going to hold IUPUI to what, below 50?
It has to be.
Below
I mean,
55?
your team total there is going to be 50.5, 51, something like that. I'm tempted to play Ooey Pooey team total over.
I think it makes sense. I'd rather take the team total over than take the spread. But
I'm trying to see they have held no one to they held Green Bay to less than 50 to 55, and that's in Northern Kentucky to 59. 2 terrible teams, by the way. Northern Kentucky.
There's no way I'm going to the window getting IUPUI plus the points.
No,
but that team total does seem a little bit too low.
It really does. They've scored. You know what? 4 of their last 6 have been below 50.
See, that doesn't surprise me, but I mean, you're slowly approaching the point where you need like 1.1 points per minute.
Yeah, I know, dude.
This is starting to get dangerous.
It seems like because the markets will ebb and flow, and if you can find that sell high spot, I think that might be it for Ooey Pooey. Man, I don't know. We'll see. This is the same Ooey Pooey team that just put up 49 against Bobby Morris. At home.
That's not good.
At home.
So,
somebody was asking about Fort Wayne's play of the day at -19. God damn, Tony. Go get him, buddy. Go get him.
I'm rooting for you from a distance, but I'm rooting for you.
Agreed. Thoughts on Arizona -6 at Washington State? Washington State, kind of a sneaky good team. Not elite, but I think they're a solid quad 2 team.
I'd say somewhere between quad 2 and quad 3.
Okay.
But I think I'm going with Arizona. It's a spot where they're just more talented. And Washington State at home has been solid, but Arizona's better at every position. And I think that matters. And Arizona had the one really bad game against UCLA. They were stumbling a little bit early on against Arizona State. USC was a ranked team, so they struggled a little bit there before pulling away late. They're just the much better team. I mean, how do I not like Arizona when they're a threat to drop 80 on anybody? And Washington State, athletically, should have a hard time containing anybody.
Well, I mean, the fact remains that they still are a good defensive squad, as far as especially in Pac-12 play, Washington State. You know,
It's not true they've played.
what's that?
Said that they're very good defensively in conference play.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they've faced an offense even close to Arizona's caliber.
Yeah, that's true. They faced the mid to lower tier of the Pac-12. There, probably they're. I don't know. They've been doing what you're supposed to do against bad teams. Although they beat Colorado by 27. Colorado's not they're not shite.
I'm saying they beat Colorado, and their best win is arguably on the road against Stanford.
Yeah,
this is a massive step up in competition.
Yeah, you're right. And it is a team that got beat by Boise State at home. I get that. I would probably lean under there. I think there might be some value. You think Washington State, though, because of their level of competition, you think that's an Arizona team that's going to run them over, I assume.
I have a hard time taking an under when I think Arizona might walk into 83. It's really just a spot where I think Arizona could just lay the hammer on them. It wouldn't surprise me.
Okay, fair enough. Carrot saying tough crowd. It's a tough crowd, buddy. Welcome to my life. It's by the way, if you don't follow Carrot in my comment section, he's a good follow. I'll just say that. Hey David, what's up, buddy? Purdue all day. Let's talk about that Purdue game, Scott. A team that I
Michigan.
What's that?
I'm not taking Michigan. I'll tell you that much.
Can't do it. Purdue not as consistent as they should be. They're on the road. Michigan getting 3.5 at home. Does this seem like one of those just fuck you spots where you get it behind Purdue and say, okay, this time they're really there, and Michigan steps up for no apparent reason? You feel
I
that?
think
You
it's
feel
an
that at all?
overreaction to Purdue's blowout loss against. But no, they blew out Illinois.
Yeah,
right?
they blew out Illinois by 16. They got
okay, no, but they ended up winning that game.
Yeah. They beat
Michigan.
They beat Michigan and didn't cover. They're 9.5 point chalks and won by 6 in game before
but
last.
I watched Michigan not cover. They probably should have. It was on Call the Cops, but they struggled to beat Penn State. They're not a good basketball team, and there's nothing wrong with that, or at least admitting that, because it's the way it is, and we know that Michigan at home is supposed to be good. They barely beat Nebraska at home. That doesn't really mean anything to me in terms of a vote of confidence. Purdue's the much better team. So even though the Big Ten is always dangerous when it comes to taking road favorites in that conference, I just don't think Michigan's very good. Purdue's got so many guys on the inside. I think Dickinson's good, but when Purdue throws in 3 to 4 big men at you,
Yep.
and Jaden Ivey's the best player on the court, I don't know how I'm not supposed to like Purdue.
Well, in Purdue, they shoot so well. You forget, because you think of Edey and you think of Williams, you think how good they are inside. You forget how good this team shoots. They shoot 51% from the field, 41% from downtown. So
Stefanovic is money.
Yeah, he is. Chris Lyons pointing out that one of the picks that I put off my algorithm played yesterday, and the Cincinnati game.
Did it win?
Apparently not. It was 129. It was 125 was the number. So
Okay, you get a mulligan.
okay, well, scroll.
People would kill for a mulligan.
All right, so I'm giving you 4 plays today. Sorry, guys. I obviously did not realize that. I must have obviously had the date wrong. So apologies. Not trying to. I would say I'm not trying to pull a fast one, but I'm not going to put up a play that lost to try to make myself look good. Okay, good times. Bronco. All these guys checking in with the great weather. We've heard from L.A. I know David gets out there in Phoenix, Bronco Devil down there in Austin, talking about no clouds for 3 days. Zach Vaughn says that hockey game made him nervous today.
It was 1-0 after the first period, so China had that going for him, and then the wheels fell off after that.
Absolutely. JB says the Freaky Four. Yep, that's what I'm laying down today, buddy. The Freaky Four. All right. Really took the day off yesterday. Yeah, I really did. Well, from that, and we've got Scott. I can't quite talk about it yet, but we've got a really cool partnership with I don't know. Could you call him the biggest name in sports betting?
You can call him up there.
Yeah, we're close. We're close. So we'll be able to probably
Vegas Dave. We almost recruited.
I'm getting replaced by Vegas Dave. Fuck me.
We need more whale plays.
Oh my god.
It's not personal.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, David's from Tucson. He's a KC guy, man. That's
To go back to the partnership, though, we can't really talk about it yet, but we got some potentially really bright things on the horizon.
Yeah. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and we're going to be expanding the network. There's gonna be a lot more shows. We're finally getting it to where the vision was when this started so many years ago. So we're happy. We're happy to be a part of it. Anyway, so what else? What else are you looking at tonight? But I know you said you didn't really like the college card at all. Is there?
I can't say I didn't really like it at all. I just had a stronger opinion about the NBA today.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like Montana. They're laying 12 against Northern Arizona. It's going to sound like a broken record, but Northern Arizona not good at basketball. Montana's undefeated at home. They're 7-2 ATS. They just had a very nice blowout win against Southern Utah at home, which was almost our farm play. I believe that was the runner-up 2 days ago, I think.
Yep.
But Montana minus 12. I mean, I gotta like that, don't I?
Yes, I'm a fan of that play. This is they've Grizzlies team that's really good at home, man. They're 9-0 straight up, 7-2 against the number.
Actually, 12-0 if you include the non-1 teams.
Well, okay. But this Northern Arizona team, dude, they don't do anything well. 285 in offensive efficiency, and
they chop wood well.
And their defense said, "Hold my beer," and they're 341st. So
that was a lumberjack joke, by the way.
Yeah, the Jacks.
For the people in the audience,
they played earlier this season. They put up 49. So I don't know, man. This is a Montana team plays a really good defense. I think you're right. I think that's Montana is going to roll there.
JB's asking the good question because, of course, I gave out Toronto when they never rest anybody, and they decided to rest Van Vliet just to, slap me in the face. The thing is, I think it's still interesting that I got the Raptors at 6.5. The line went up to 8.5. Van Vliet's not playing, and it's down to 7. So I still beat a half-point line move with Toronto's best player not playing, which I find very interesting. I still like Toronto. Houston sucks. They're a terrible basketball team. Toronto has a bunch of guys who are really good. And I do think that even with Van Vliet out, you still have Trent, you still have Siakam, you still have Barnes. They got a lot of pieces. And I think they'll win the game anyway. I think they'll cover anyway.
D from Detroit asking about the Citadel and the UNC Greensboro game tonight, the over, and what would appear to be a very tempting total, Scott, of 139. Now, this is a Greensboro team that plays some pretty good defense. The game landed 143 when they played about a month ago. Citadel, bud, are they back? They've hit overs twice in a row, but before that, they went under the total 3 times straight and didn't score a ton of points. They scored 190 in their last 2. So will the real Citadel please stand up?
They've been doing better in terms of pace lately. Of course, they burned me the one time against Western Carolina, but I do think that it's a good matchup for the over because Greensboro's defense is very backline, crowd the paint. They give up in terms of attempts, like the top 10 most. They give up a lot of 3-point attempts. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
So I'm trying to figure out how to word it, but they give up a bunch of 3-point attempts, and the Citadel loves to shoot the 3 ball. So I do think it's a good matchup for the over. It's more just based on principle. You're going to have a Citadel total in the 130s.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just an over.
It's kind of like when you see an Uipu or Eastern Michigan or Eastern Illinois at 130 or better. You're like,
I mean, the one time that Eastern Illinois was like in the 140s because they played against Murray or something, and it was the freest money of all time.
Freest money of all. It was team total 68, right?
I think so.
And they hadn't scored. They scored like 62 against the Little Sisters of the Poor.
I don't even think they got the 60 in that game.
No, they didn't. Capper says, Carrot says, very fucking over. Absolutely. Citadel marches to a different drummer. That's definitely true. That's in more ways than one. We're in the military, but not really. So yeah, it's weird. Coastal Carolina today. Let me see, because I want to see who they're
taking on Georgia State.
Wrong team favored. Let me see how they break down.
It appears that way. I mean, Coastal beat this team on the road earlier this, or Coastal beat them in Georgia State earlier this season. The Panthers are not very good. They've won 2 out of 3, but they beat UL Monroe. Congratulations, 4-8 in conference play, and they beat South Alabama 5-5 in conference play.
USA.
Coastal is a good home team, and we've seen it time and time again. Their home road splits are pretty jarring. I see where you're coming from. There has been a lot of line movement on Georgia State, though, so I'm probably going to stay away. But Coastal's very tempting.
I just feel like sharp movement and it's weird because Coastal, again, not a good team, but they are 9-4 at home, 5-4 against the number.
It has to be sharp money. I don't know who's betting Georgia State on the road.
I agree. Georgia State 3-7 against the number. Yeah, that's a stay away from me. William and Mary Townsend over 136.5.
William and Mary can't guard anybody, so I don't want to lay 17 with Townsend, but they have a shot to get to 80 in this game. I mean, William and Mary just hands out 80 points all day, every day.
Yeah, they
so
get 76
I got to go
points.
with the over.
Yeah. Anybody that gives up 76 points a game, and you get a 137.5. Yeah, I'm on it. Duke and Purdue, 2-team parlay plus 111 tonight. We talked about Purdue. I get a little. I
don't think Clemson's very good, and we saw Duke kill North Carolina by about 30, and Clemson lost to North Carolina at home the previous game. So I think Duke's going to win. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but I've seen Clemson play. They are especially not pretty. So I'll take Duke in a somewhat closer game than people think, but they'll pull away late. Duke should get the job done.
Okay. You're going to lay, you lay 7.5 there?
I feel like that's right where the line should be. I'm going to go with Duke in the end by 9. I think it comes down to the final possession.
I wish I knew how good this North Carolina team was, because I have deep-seated suspicion they're not very good. So
the guards are extremely streaky.
Very true. So that game against Clemson, I don't know what that means, because Clemson held it close. They lose by 2. But Duke, coming off that weird loss to Virginia, does that mean anything, or is that just a one-off because Virginia is such a different team?
I think it's a one-off because we mentioned why we liked Virginia plus the points in that game. Bennett's system just always gives Duke problems. It's the back line. They just struggle offensively against it. I think Duke will look better in this spot. Plus, you can argue that's a very good spot for Duke to bounce back because they won't be looking through this opponent. Instead, they'll be focused on getting back on track.
Right.
So you get a pissed-off Duke team against an underwhelming Clemson team. You can argue it's a good bounce-back spot.
Zach Vaughn asking a great question about the sharp money, or the sharps as we refer to it when we see lines change, usually about this time of day. Who are they? What do they do? Well, they basically come in 2 camps. First of all, they're respected veteran bettors that books recognize as being good, sharp players, the guys that will win more than they lose. And those are the books that obviously haven't shut them out. You're talking like, the guys that make the lines, like Chris and Pinnacle are basically the 2 lines makers in the world right now. As far as what differentiates them from us, simply the amount of money that's being spent and the fact that they're known in their circles where they make those bets. And they're individual bettors. That's what I was going to say. There's one of 2. They're either individual bettors that are recognized as pros, or they are part of a gigantic consortium, which is just basically like investment firms that just take money and the syndicate, exactly, and they give you a certain return on that investment, much like a investment banker would do with your stock portfolio,
like a stock market yield type of thing.
Yep, exactly right. So those are the two entities that we talk about when we talk about sharp money and the people that actually move the lines.
Yeah, to answer your question, Zach, I could be a sharp bettor if I had the bankroll to load out like 75K per play.
Right.
I would be considered a sharp bettor or sharp money if I had the bankroll to unload arguably 6 digits on any given game. Like, I would move lines.
Yep, exactly right. And some of these lines, like on this game, on the Coastal Carolina game, you're not. You can move a line there with a good 5-figure bet. Easily move the line. So.
But the point is that when you look at some of these obscure games, of course you're going to blindly look at the records, the home road splits, whatever. And you're assuming in most of these unknown games, you're going to take the favorite at home that's been pretty good at home. And yet you see a favorite switching in this random Sunbelt game that the general public, Joe Schmo, is not going to even know is on the card. You can assume that somebody believes they know something, and as a result, they move the line by about 3 points with a favorite switch in there.
Yep.
So that I consider sharp money.
And I've got Don Best, which I get alerts all day long about Steam plays and where those sharp money is coming in. So it's kind of.
I did read somewhere though that Steam plays are better than Steam plays.
Absolutely. By the way, that's a fantastic investment if you're serious about doing this and you play, I don't know, $50 a game or better. Don Best, at least the scaled down version, I think it's $120 a month. It is worth the investment. It has the grids for all the sports, has line moves, anything you want is on there, and it's all in one spot. It's up to date. So, and again, I'm not a shill for Don Best. They don't need my help. But what's that?
I use the pregame game center. Mm-hmm. I think they do a pretty good job.
Yep.
But you can really find grids all over the place. But it's important to find one that is relatively thorough, where it has the line moves on pretty much every game on one page, so you don't have to constantly flip through just a bunch of pages, which is a real pain in the ass.
And we ran into this yesterday, and I wanted to bring this up real quick. So, sorry for cutting you off, but we talked about we were using two different sites to see the percentage of bets versus the percentage of money. I think we did that on the Super Bowl video, and you noticed there was a huge discrepancy in those numbers, and that is because they're not real numbers. They're only self-reported numbers by people that are saying they are making this bet or that bet. So I think Action Network is probably a little better. They've got it where it's like kind of verified now, but be very careful when you're using one source about where the money is coming and where the bets are coming, because here's the deal. No casino is reporting that. No book is reporting that. So that knowledge that you think you may or may not have, it may or may not be accurate. So be very careful about relying too much on those numbers, because I think a lot of times they're bullshit.
The way that I look at it is that I focus more on the actual line move itself, and I try to come up with reasons as to why the line has moved.
Right.
And usually if you rule out injuries, COVID, all that stuff, or maybe trends or matchup history, the fail-safe break in case of emergency excuse is sharp money. That's usually the break in case where you can't think of a reason, but somebody clearly knows something. So you're seeing the line move a lot.
Yep.
Would you agree with that?
I would totally agree with that. Somebody asking about the Gonzaga Pacific game. 32 is the number there. Of course, this is a Pacific game, again, that I got roasted for the other night against USC. That cover that they had on the road against USC, first time this season. They'd been 0-9 going into there. They're 3-11 against the number as a dog, 5-16 total. Fuck them.
Did you watch that game at all?
Oh, yeah.
Can Pacific rebound?
No.
Or is Timmy and Holmgren just going to destroy them on the inside?
It's going to be a bloodbath, whether it's going to be 32 or not. I mean, the question you always have to ask yourself about the Zags, do they get to 24, 26 and just start fucking around and start subbing guys out?
The question is the garbage time. I mean, that's really all it's going to come down to. At what point do they bring in the full bench unit that doesn't know how to play basketball?
Or there's the other option with Gonzaga, where they just fuck around in the first half, play with their food, and go, oh, well, we thought these guys were just going to roll over, and they're up by 4 at halftime, and then blow them out in the second half, but rarely get to those big, gigantic numbers like that. So, a couple ways to lose on the Zags. However, fuck, they've been playing really good basketball lately. You want to fade the Zags right now? Because, it's the West Coast Conference. They're doing their thing. They're blowing people out. Beating San Diego by 30, beating BYU by 33. By the way, a team that we thought at one point was, decent, not god-awful, but they were 13-point dogs, and they missed it by 20. So
I think I'll go with Pacific. That line does seem a little bit large because if you're going to take a number that big, you have to confirm the motivation's fully going to be there. You think Gonzaga really gives a damn about running up the score on Pacific?
Mm-mm.
They got more important stuff to worry about.
Yeah, I'm staying away. I'm not letting Pacific fuck me twice in 3 days. That's just not going to happen.
I think if you want to fade Pacific, your move's probably the team total under.
Yeah.
Because if Gonzaga's going to cover or come close to it, Pacific might not reach 62.
Yeah. Or they could win 105-70. Fuck. Who knows?
Yeah, it could be, but I'm going to go with Pacific plus the points. I'm not going to have any action on it.
Bill,
I don't want to lay 30 plus with Gonzaga.
Bill asking about what do you think of the Nets robbing the Sixers today? We talked about that at the top of the show, Bill. But as I know, I'll recap it for you. And Scott, if you have anything to add, you can. Scott, as a Nets fan, was happy about the trade because, as he put it, Nets had a 0 chance of winning the title this year, and without Harden and with the new additions, that may have bumped up to 5%. So I think Scott's overall pretty damn happy with that trade.
I think another point, I'm curious what the comment section thinks about it. I know that Harden hate is pretty strong right now. I think Harden might be the most overrated player in the league. Is that a hot take?
It might have been a year ago. I think
he's on a short list.
Yeah, I think this year you could certainly make a case for that. Gonzaga messes around in regular season, get them covering their first 2 tournament games. Yeah, that's kind of the thing, Zach. I mean, even though they've been a cover machine over the last 4 games, they laid 32 against Portland and pushed. Fuck, I can't imagine how frustrating that would have been. That's one of those games where and you hear people say it, everyone's like, "Well, Vegas really knows what they're doing." I'm like, "Yep, well, sometimes it happens." So.
The truth is, you might disagree with me on my take here, but I do think if you like Gonzaga to cover the number, you might just want to take an over.
Yeah.
Because Gonzaga's probably reaching a hundo if they're going to cover this number.
Yeah, agreed. David Good says wait till Harden's contract is out at the end. Oh, yeah, no question. That's, I wouldn't. Philly, you said it best, Scott. They're all in this year. They ain't looking at the future. Nets should get rid of Kyrie. What a headache. But I guess.
Well, he's a free agent at the end of the year, but
right.
You can make an argument post-mandate, no mask, whatever, is a big 3 of KD, Kyrie, and Simmons, with all 3 of them under contract for several years, assuming the Nets re-sign Kyrie over the offseason. Is that good enough to win a title? It might be. I don't know.
Well, it all depends on who they have around him. So we'll see.
I'm saying you got Seth Curry now. You got a couple of pieces.
Yeah, but you got what good is Simmons? Can anyone play good enough defense to make up for that amount of lack of offense?
When you look at how the Nets have played defense this season, I think the answer is yes. Like Simmons, people can hate him because he has no offensive talent in terms of shooting. Still a good passer, still good size, whatever. But he is easily, in my opinion, when healthy, a top 3 defensive player in the league.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think he's that good defensively.
That's question. That's no question about that. Bill McDonald says if Harden cared, he'd be top 3. I have a hard time assessing effort at the professional level because obviously I've never played sports at the professional level.
Harden, you can tell on the defensive end.
I agree with that. He does seem he's slow. He does seem less involved on the defensive end. I don't know how much it is about. Is that it, Scott? Does he not care? Is he just playing out the string, cashing a check, or does he care? And he's just not good.
I would say that he was. I think offensively against the Kings and company down the stretch, his hamstring might have been a little bit iffy, and he kind of just milked it because he didn't want to be there anyway. But the defensive effort or lack thereof has been the case his entire career.
Correct. David Good with perhaps the line of the day says Simmons looks good walking through the airport. Absolutely true. Absolutely true, David. All right, buddy, let's do it. Let's get to it. We've got We've got another streak to start after last night went down in flames. We'd like to blame it on overtime because it did go to overtime and ended up at fucking, what, in the 170s or whatever. But it wasn't overtime's fault. We missed it in reg. So let's see if we can start a new string on today's edition of, you know what it is. It's time, again, to put on your overalls, grab that straw hat, fix it top of your head. It's sunny outside. You got to get that sun off of you. Get your keys out, hop aboard that John Deere, fire that bad boy up, because it's Thursday, and it's time to bet the farm. All right, buddy, what you got? Somebody talked about this game earlier, by the way. And
we're going to go to the NBA.
Yep.
And we're going to take the Memphis Grizzlies, -11 against the Pistons. It's a big spread for a road team, but when you actually look at both teams, the spread should be a lot higher. Memphis has been playing really well lately. They've won each of their last 3. They've won 4 of 5. Each of those 4 victories have been by at least 12 points. So they've been winning by a pretty decent margin. Detroit has lost 5 in a row. Cade Cunningham's still dealing with hip issues. He is questionable, but he has missed each of the last 4 games. So I do think he's more doubtful than questionable in this game. And you want to go through the efficiency numbers?
I do.
These teams are not even close. Memphis ranks 8th in offense. Detroit ranks 30th, which is dead last in the league. Memphis ranks 7th in defense. Detroit ranks 25th. And the biggest disparity possible on the boards, Memphis ranks numero uno in rebounding. Detroit ranks dead last. So Memphis should dominate on the glass. They should dominate offensively, defensively. If Cade doesn't play, we've seen how bad Detroit is. Morant and companies, they're just going to run wild. Give me Memphis. They'll win this game by 20.
Somebody asked if Ja Morant was going to be able to outscore Detroit on his own. It may be close.
In the first quarter, maybe.
Maybe very close. All right, guys, that's going to do it for Bet the Farm. Get down on those Memphis Grizzlies -11. And that's going to do it for the Thursday edition of our show. As always, we appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to check out our pals Jim Williams and Chris King over there every day, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, as they talk about just parlays. And, of course, check out our NFL Super Bowl preview show tomorrow. And we'll be doing our live show on Sunday, a little Super Bowl pregame at noon Eastern Time, as we get everybody involved in a true crossover event with a lot of winners and whiners personalities and a lot of special guests from around the country. So that'll be fun. Check that out as well. And that's going to do it for us. You guys take care. Good luck on all of your plays today. We appreciate you watching. Again, don't forget to tell your friends. Don't forget to like and subscribe, all that good stuff. And again, don't forget to come back and see us tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, as Scott and I will do our very best to help you to head back to the window. Take care, everybody.